You're watching BionicDance. Don't run on automatic, instead, please think.
Am I a militant atheist? Well, I suppose you could call me that. But if I am, there is a darn good reason for it. Let's do this.
So this is a set of quick thoughts about the dangers of militant atheism and the ideas of preaching atheism.
Well, given that for many of us, our motivation to be atheists and to quote-unquote preach atheism is not so much a matter of we don't want people to believe in God, but rather because we've seen what reality is and we'd prefer if people actually lived their lives according to reality rather than fantasy. I'm not really sure I see much in the way of danger. I mean, tell me where the danger lies in saying you really ought to live according to the real world. Honestly, tell me where the danger is in that, because I don't see it.
My first point on atheism, particularly with regards to YouTube and the internet and everything else, is that we very much live often in an echo chamber. We see a lot of individuals making the same points again and again and again about atheism, about the ridiculousness of creationism, about the the ideas and everything else that religion and various different religions hold.
Okay, while I see the point you are trying to make, I can't agree with it. You see, for starters, we have to keep making our points over and over and over again. I mean, okay, maybe that means we live in an echo chamber, but the entire world lives in an echo chamber with the religious. I mean, if we only make our points once, that's all that'll happen, and our ideas will get lost. Our side will get lost, while the religious keep preaching over and over and over again. We have to keep pace with them, or we're gonna lose. Next of all, do we live in an echo chamber, really? There are atheists out there I disagree with. Sam Harris comes immediately to mind. There are things he's said where I'm just like, seriously, dude? Usually about, like, meditation and stuff. You know, I mean, he kind of seems to believe in what James Randi calls woo-woo. So, I mean, it's not like we just agree with everything atheists say. It's not just an echo chamber. I mean, we have had plenty of atheist fights back and forth because we disagree with each other. So, again, I don't think I can agree with your basic premise. Just saying.
And I found very often as well that we live within an echo chamber. That is to say, naturally, we all convalesce around, or rather coalesce, around the opinions with which we agree. So we start watching things that we agree with, individuals we agree with, and we find ourselves echoing their opinions and their opinions echoing ours.
Maybe that's your experience. It's not mine. I actively seek out people with whom I disagree. Granted, usually it's so that I can make a video publicly disagreeing with them like I'm doing right now, but I still go looking. And I'd love to believe other people do. I mean, the motto of my channel is, don't run on automatic, think. I actively promote skepticism. I actively promote questioning and checking your own position to make sure that you're right and to correct it if you're wrong. Now, granted, I do a lot of my correcting it when I'm wrong off camera, because, well, hey, who likes to appear wrong? But when I'm wrong, I bloody well admit it. And I'd love to believe that other people do too. So, I hope the internet's not an echo chamber. I hope that people go looking for other ideas and to prove themselves right or wrong. I really hope that. It may not be the case, but I want you to be wrong on this point about the internet being an echo chamber, and I know in my case it is incorrect. Just saying.
I understand now more the dangers of militant atheism, of preaching atheism. We have a seductiveness of knowing that we're right. And I don't mean feeling that we're right or believing that we're right, obviously, because those are traits that are held by the religious. I mean the absolute logical, evidential proof of knowledge that the world's major monotheistic or polytheistic or even pantheistic faiths are false. The weight of evidence, self-inquiry and discovery has led us to the understanding, not the feeling or the emotion, that a given thing is true. But that also awakes in us something else. It's like when the curtains are drawn, when the wall is pulled away from your eyes, suddenly you have a sense of a world in conflict. You're Neo waking up in your tube, and you realise just how much of humanity is asleep. And again, you don't realise it in the sense of souls to save, you realise it in the sense of minds to free. And then there becomes a danger, because we look to our heroes in the atheist community. We look to those who first freed us, whether it was Hitchens, Dawkins, Harris, or any of those individuals. And we see them daily on YouTube confronting the religious, taking part in chat programs, taking part in debates, in standing talks, anything. And very often they're extremely polemic. They stand and they negotiate and they debate, sometimes with gentle, conciliatory sort of motions, as is occasionally true of Harris, and other times with belligerent, cutting, absolutely undeniable forthright logic, like someone like Hitchens. However, our heroes seduce us into the premise that we can simply do the same.
And who's to say we can't? I say we can. I say we almost have to. Because when you really look at this world, the fact is that it's not simply other people are asleep. It's that other people have had their eyes blinded by religion, made to see the world through a filter. And their religion tells them that what they have to do is to make the rest of us conform. That the rest of the world has to be brought in line to what they believe. That this world belongs to them. That we are a problem. Like it or not, we're in a fight. And we're in a fight because of them, because of what they are told by their religion. So we almost have to do the same. We almost have to stand up and say, no, we are not going to take it. No, we are not going to let you tell us how to live our lives. If we try to stand back and be passive and academic and act as though we are simply teachers trying to show them the truth, it's not going to work. I wish it would. I wish that's all it took. But the fact is that all you have to do is look around the world. Look at the wars fought in the name of religion. Look at the atrocities committed in the name of religion. Look at how fervent religious people can get when their beliefs are challenged, when their worldview is challenged, when they are told no by other people, not just atheists, but people of other religions. The fact is that religion can grab hold of somebody and make them do things that they would otherwise not do, because they think they have to, because they think they're saving eternal souls, because they think that the rest of the world is evil for not following what they believe. I want that to stop. I want that to be over. We can't just be these passive teachers. We have to be militant because they are militant. And even if it's only in self-defense, we have to be just as strong as they are. And yes, we can do the same. We can put our message out there just as strongly. There is no reason not to. I mean, we don't have to make emotional appeals, but we can still be just as passionate, just as steadfast. And I say we have to be.
And it's all well and good that we put up these videos and we do these things to try and hope that individuals will discover atheism through us, or will discover the ability to begin to question their beliefs through us. But I'm beginning to wonder just how much value there is in preaching atheism. I will always respond with the atheist answer or the logical answer if asked about religion, but I'm too often guilty of bringing the subject up myself and forcing it into conversation with religious individuals, friends and family included, and it's damaging to those relationships. Is it healthy? Is it right? And it's taken me a little while to think about, and I realise now that very often the number of times I became angry or frustrated when individuals would try and foist their religion upon me, the same is probably true of atheism.
See, that's not a good comparison, because unlike atheists, the religious are just fucking asking for it. Seriously, think about it. Well, maybe you can't. I mean, I don't know enough about your life. I don't know who you are. Hell, for all I know, you're one of my subscribers. It gets a little hard to keep track sometimes unless we've interacted a lot. But the point is, I don't know enough about your life to know whether or not you've had the religious aimed at you. I have. Okay? Lesbian over here. And, well, okay, granted, I'm unlikely to ever need an abortion, but that could happen someday, too. You never know. Point is, the religious make decisions for other people's lives a lot, and try to enforce those decisions on those other people a lot. And a lot of us are saying, no, back the hell off. You don't get to tell me what to do. You don't get to tell me who I get to be, who I get to love, any of that stuff. That's none of your damn business. But the religious keep doing it anyway. If the religious could mind their own business, I could probably go, those people are so ridiculous, look at what they believe. But whatever, they're not doing any harm. But that's not the way it works. Yeah, there's a reason I'm a militant atheist. There's a reason if you want to call it preach or evangelize, whatever, there's a reason I do it. And it's because the religious keep acting like complete jerkwads and getting in everyone else's face about it. I'm sorry, but if they could back off, so could I. But it's going to be them first, because they're the ones actually getting in my business. I wouldn't be if they weren't.
So what do we do? If we can't approach people, if we can't talk to them about atheism, if we can't want to help them free their minds from what we understand and know to be the ridiculous nature of their beliefs and the self-limiting slave-like nature of what their beliefs have done to their lives.
Well, I hope you see now that that's not my motivation. Oh, don't get me wrong. It'd be wonderful if they'd get a clue, if they would stop believing in palpable nonsense. That'd be great. But that's not why I do this. I do this because of their behavior towards other people. So right from the start, I think your premise needs revision, because it's not just about beliefs.
What do we do? Where do we put all that compassion and that energy? Very often I think that compassion and that energy becomes anger, because we look around ourselves and we think, how could you be so stupid? How could you be so dumb as to believe something like that? When actually maybe many of us were in the same position for many years. Some of you maybe not. I know I was.
Well, I wasn't. I was very fortunate in that respect. I was raised largely without religion. Oh, I saw it on the periphery, I suppose, but I was never made to conform. I was never made to believe. I was never made to do anything against my will. And as a result, being an atheist, being an active atheist, being a militant atheist, if I had to be one, that was a pretty easy transition from being largely passive.
Tolerance for religion is wrong, and I've said this before. I no more can tolerate a religious belief than I should tolerate somebody who holds repugnant political views and tries to establish a political party around those things. Religion has no special place where it must be tolerated. We mustn't respect religion in any way we wouldn't respect anything else. But does that mean we shouldn't respect the religious individual?
Religions are made up of individuals. Without individuals believing in them, religions go away. Religions become nothing more than fiction. We can no more respect the religious individual than we can respect the religious institution. I mean, hell, the only way to get rid of religion is to get rid of it, individual by individual. That's the only way to do it. Respect the individual? Well, maybe I'll respect them as a person, but not their beliefs and not their behavior.
But I mean, should we respect the religious individual to the point whereby we don't actually address their faith unless they raise it with us?
Well, for starters, I'm not exactly holding my breath for that day when absolutely no religious person preaches or evangelizes to the rest of us, because I don't see that one ever happening. But next of all, I'm not sure I agree with your premise right from the start. You started out talking about how YouTube is this echo chamber and all of that stuff. And the fact is that we are, by definition, here on YouTube, addressing groups. I don't have just one subscriber. And even if I were to address one person, like, say, you, like I'm doing right now, or if I happen to be kicking Venom Fang X in the teeth again, or, I don't know, some other YouTube religious person, I'm not doing it just so that individual can hear what I have to say. I'm doing it so that everyone else hears what I have to say. I mean, I don't expect Venom Fang X to ever agree with my premises when it comes to religion. I don't expect him to agree with my arguments, no matter how I prove them. I'm saying this for the benefit of other people. So, I'm not even sure that talking about whether or not I'm respecting the individual is even relevant, frankly. And I have friends who believe various things, and in person we tend to not to talk about those things very often. It just doesn't come up a lot, you know? So, I mean, again, I'm not entirely certain that you're really barking up the right tree on this one. Just saying.
I also recognise the fact that we have to distinguish between the institutions and the individuals.
And once again, I thoroughly disagree. Because the institutions are made up of individuals. If we respect the individual, then the institution gets respect by default. That's all there is to it. The only way to fight the institution's power over us is to make it so that the individuals no longer have power over us. To make it so that the individuals no longer give the institutions power. Because in the end, what it comes down to is people. Not ideas, not institutions, people. Because the people give the ideas and the institutions power. So we cannot separate the institution and the individual. It simply does not work like that.
And I'm interested here as to what many of you think. Do you think that we should be proselytizing atheism? Should we be preaching atheism to the individual? Should we be setting up our stalls and allowing them to approach us? Is that a middle way? Are we able to, ring the bell for atheism in the town square and hand out leaflets and see if people who are interested in atheism approach us about it? Or is that just as bad as proselytizing religion and throwing it down people's throats?
Okay, it may kind of sound like it in this video from the way I put it, but the fact is that I don't really exactly believe in militant atheism exactly. I don't think that people who believe in palpable nonsense like magical sky fairies should be forced to conform against their will, because that's just as bad as what they want to do to us. However, I do believe that their ability to have power over us, to force us to conform to their way of life, to their beliefs, should be robbed from them. They should not be allowed to do that to us. And that does kind of sound like enforcing atheism. That does kind of sound like militant atheism. But how else are we to defend ourselves? How else are we to say, no, you don't get to do that to us? So, it is kind of a fine line to walk. It is kind of a tightrope. But in the end, what it comes down to is, if you can mind your own damn business, so can I. Okay, granted, I might be trying to put information out there. I might be trying to give you ideas that there are options other than the religion you've been raised with, or other than the religion you've had forced upon you, or even other than the one you've chosen to believe. I have every right to tell you that there is another choice out there. But under no circumstances do I have the right to force you to believe in that, to behave as if you believe in that. I only have a right to tell you that you don't get to control my life. And that is a large part of what I'm doing here on YouTube, is telling the religious, knock it the hell off. Telling the religious, hey, this is my life, and I'm going to live it my way. You don't get to control me. That's really why I'm here. But I would love it if they would also get a clue.
There are many theists we're never going to reach, because not only have they rationalised their position, they have drummed it into themselves. It has become who they are. They are emotionally bound to what they believe, to the point that their character, psychology and personality would simply fall apart.
Well, isn't that a shame? But tough shit. If they're going to be the kind of theist that tries to make everyone else conform to their way of life, if they're going to be the kind of theist that tells everyone else, hey, these are God's rules, and if you don't follow them, you're going to be made to follow them. Tough. They've made this a fight, and I'm going to give them one. Because I'm going to live my life my way, not theirs. And that's that. If they're not that sort, well, then I'll pity them, but I don't care nearly as much.
We need to look for a graceful degradation. We need to very gradually take away the supports that support what they believe and allow them to challenge it. But no individual can come to atheism without challenging themselves, without it being a personal journey. They must approach the atheistic community. And very often I think maybe our anger, or indeed even our sheer annoyance, emotion toward theism holds us back, makes us unapproachable.
Well, in truth, I think you and I are talking about different things. I mean, I'm not evangelizing atheism, as you seem to like to put it. I'm not preaching atheism to recruit other atheists. I mean, I kind of am, but my main purpose is to make it so that the religious stop being jerkwads in my direction. Now, I do tend to think that the best way to do that is to prove religion false and thus make the religious into atheists. But at the same time, if they stayed religious but started being nicer to other people, well, I think that would be just as good. I think I'd be just as satisfied, frankly. So, when you talk about preaching atheism, evangelizing atheism, all that stuff, I just don't think I'm doing it for the same reason that you're talking about.
So for me, I think the difference in atheism and religion comes in this. We should fight tooth and nail to remove religion from any form of social policy, any form of social recognition as a special thing or as a special status. Whether it's tax relief, faith schools, or anything else, we should fight tooth and nail to make sure that the state, the meta-state, us writ large, doesn't support religion.
And on this point, I thoroughly agree. However, on your next point...
But I'm slowly coming to the idea that the religious must come to us.
Nope. Doesn't work that way. Cannot work that way. You see, again, religion is made up of individuals. Its power is made up of individuals. The only way to break religion's stranglehold on this world is to remove its power base, and the only way to do that is to get those who are in the religion to stop supporting it. And the only way to do that is to get them to no longer believe. So we have to be out there preaching atheism. We have to be out there proactive instead of passive. Nothing else will work. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's a good chance you're the reason I'm saying it.